Hello everyone. I'm typically known as Super Friend BFG on YouTube and Twitch, but in game I'm usually called Sir, and in Star Citizen, my handle is the Cosmonaut with an underscore between the and Cosmonaut, and this is basically my hangar right now. I have two flyable ships, the Delta and the M50. M50 is definitely a racing ship, not very good in combat. I mean, you can equip it with better guns than what it comes with, and I really suggest you do. I haven't. And it does have two missiles, but really it doesn't have enough countermeasures or missiles to perform any long-term combat or dogfighting. It's not meant for that at all. But it is very nimble, very quick. You can dodge a lot of fire with this thing. It accelerates on a dime. You know, this thing is basically two engines in a cockpit. That's kind of what the design is going for with this thing. It's a wonderful ship, a wonderful design. I think it can use a little more countermeasures than it already has. You know, 2 is really not enough for any kind of combat at all. Something like 10 or 15 would probably be more ideal, but you know, those are all balance issues that are probably going to get taken care of long before the Persistent Universe is released. One of my first ships, definitely my first flyable ship, and one of my favorites, really. I love flying this thing because it's just so quick. This is, of course, the Mustang Delta, which is an up-armored version with more weapons and dumbfire missiles compared to the other Mustangs, that is. And you should be able to... There it is. Something there. Yeah. You can get in from the bottom here. Kind of like a mini-tube of some sort. Ugh, there's a little jittering there, but that's alright. And that's the inside of the ship. Really, there's not much else to show, except the pilot's seat. Of course, it'll bring up a Marine Commander again, since this vessel's flyable. I think one of the best aspects of this ship, really, is the fact that this has such great visibility, you know. Though that means that you're relatively vulnerable in this cockpit, but it's still very nice. So it's definitely one of my favorite ships to fly. Although it is kind of jerky in its movements right now, but that'll be fixed probably in the next patch. Let's get the hell out of here. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Stop! Stop! Let me out! There's some alignment problems, but whatever.
TEE representative, please contact land and platform authorities. If this is your first time planetside, check with your local info agent.
There we go. That's better. So, I mean, this is a pretty cool looking ship. It's kind of strange looking compared to other ships in the game. It's got some unique features in terms of its design, but it's a relatively cool vessel. So let's move on to the Redeemer. This is my most recent acquisition. I'm actually quite pleased with this. There's still a few issues here and there. They've only done really one pass on this ship so far, and it'll most likely have a bunch of tweaks and fixes added to it eventually. As you can see, the cargo area, the door on the back is already opened. Here's where you would have up to 6 Marines capable of, you know, landing and doing their thing. This is a small storage area for weapons, and this is where you get into the turret at the bottom of the ship. The animation is buggy. The entering animation anyways. Takes a little while for it to actually get inside the turret. But I do have some criticism on this turret. I think that, you know, in terms of visibility, this is rather atrocious. Although it is possible that the turret here at the bottom is supposed to lower a bit whenever you're in actual combat. But in the end, I don't really like it too much, because at the bottom you really can't look down much. The visibility on the other turret at the top of the ship is a little bit better, but not much. And as you can see, the exiting animation actually works properly, so you can kind of get an idea of how you actually get into the turret, despite the entering animation is being busted. So this is kind of like the upper deck area, and of course there's a door here which was already opened by me earlier on, and this is the cockpit. Cockpit visibility is kind of below average, I suppose. Not terrible. This ship is really meant to be a troop transport in a sense, with decent armament to provide supporting fire, I can imagine. But, you know, it's still a pretty neat ship.
All arriving personnel clear planetary customs before exiting hangar.
These are actually shield generators. So this ship will most likely have 4 vector shielding, but who knows. Some fighters have 2 vector shielding, others have 4, like the Hornet. Here is the bed area, sleeping area. There are actually small little doors that come up and down here. They've already been brought down, and you can see here's the turret. How you enter the top turret. Top turret visibility is a little bit better. You don't have kind of like a metal plate looking down when you look down, so naturally it is better. I kind of wish that the seat was brought forward a bit, but considering how limited your space is, it could be brought forward a bit, yeah. You'd be able to get more visibility on the left and the right if the seat was brought up by maybe a quarter of a meter or something like that. But even then, you know, for the purpose of you know, being able to see your target, it's good enough, and really the HUD, the way it's designed, is going to allow you to see where your targets are, much the way it already is for the current fighters. Let's close that up. You can see there's actually some clipping issues there. This is a storage area, cargo. Not much space for cargo, but enough for food and other supplies. This is a shower, and this is a toilet to poop in space if you really want to. Pooping in space, oh yeah.
Available for use on floor 3 outside of the comm center.
You know, I love a lot of the details in the ship here. You got 2 cables that kind of plug into the turret, and I guess there's more cables here, more sockets here to feed power into other systems, and there's 1 cable that goes up here. But you know, a lot of these internal details actually do serve a purpose. You know, these cables here provide power to the shields, and you can see how they have it looks like they have a kind of universal socket system, and here you have more of them, presumably to plug in either another system or whatever. This is actually a docking collar latch, so you can actually latch onto a station or a larger ship from the bottom and just enter and exit the ship from there. But the easiest way is, of course, through here. And this door is very quick. You know, the action of the door is very, very fast, and I think that's deliberate because, you know, this thing is going to enter into combat areas and unload Marines very quickly. You know, that's kind of its purpose. So I do like how the door is very quick for that purpose. So let's move past the fighters here and on to one of my earlier acquisitions, which is the Constellation Aquila. The exploration variant of the Constellation. Here we have the bottom turret of the Aquila, which is actually behind armor. Kind of like a covering in a sense. And we are in the cockpit, sort of like the bridge, I guess. It's more of a bridge in this case. Looks like the panels, the control panels, are a bit untextured. In the last patch, the textures were fine. I guess they're in the process of redoing them. And of course, the turret. Oh. Yeah. What a pain. They really do need to tighten up the interaction, whatever bounding box they use for interactables in this game, because you know it can be somewhat annoying. And see, I wanted to actually press the button, but I couldn't. This is going to bring me down into the turret, actually. And as you can see, this all opens up, and then your turret's actually getting lower. And you can see I have a screen here, which is supposed to display whatever. Visibility is kind of bad. You know, had they kept the top turret and left the sciencey stuff to the bottom here, I think would have been a better design decision, because the top turret does have much more visibility because you're not really looking down into your feet. Maybe that's a suggestion that should be made on the forums. You know, just swap the science stuff from the top to the bottom. Because when you go up top, this is where you have a lot of the science equipment and stuff that'll allow you to, you know, maybe scan for life forms or different specific types of ores on asteroids. You know, all this kind of information that could be seen as valuable to specific corporations or scientists and stuff like that. Or the ship would be for the scientists themselves as well. Oh, you got some Z fighting on the floor there. Great. Here you have an eating area, which you can retract. The texturing on the table can use some work. The texturing on the seat, though, was pretty good. Here you have space shower and then space toilet. Once again, you can actually use this toilet. And the beds as well are usable. And the cargo area. So let's get the hell out of here. Just drop down. And the final ship in my repertoire that's actually visible is the Mist Freelancer. I do have another ship, the Banyu Merchantman, but you cannot see it right now. It's mostly in the concept stages. Probably the pride and joy of my collection actually is the Banyu Merchantman. It's very limited. It was a limited run of the ship. They're not sold anymore. And that's the cargo door. Up here is supposed to be a turret, although I think they removed it, so I don't know what it serves now. And of course you have two doors here. It's a double door system, and you have these kind of console panels. The console, I think, is supposed to be able to come up, and you're able to use the actual table itself as an eating area or just a sitting area. Here are the beds. I don't think you can actually get in them yet. Can you? No. Doesn't look like it. That's fine. Here you have two tertiary seats, I guess, for crew members. And the pilot's seat. Pilot and co-pilot. This is very much a cockpit that's reminiscent of, you know, airliners and passenger ships and maybe cargo ships as well. The visibility isn't amazing, but at the same time, you know, for the purposes of the ship, more as a transport, it's quite nice. I would like to see another variant of this ship with kind of like a living area, a better living area in the back here, so you can actually have like a more sort of like a mobile home in space, I suppose. But you know, those are things for the future, not quite right now. There are two variants of the ship. This one is equipped with a decent number of missiles, but the other variant is kind of like a missile boat, so fun. So those are my ships. Naturally, the only one that you haven't seen so far is the Banyu Merchantman, but nobody's seen that one yet, not even the developers, beyond concept. So, yeah, there's my hangar. I do own all 4 hangars. I have chosen this one because the lighting is just far better. You're able to see the details on the ships with much more ease. You know, these engines, for example, I think we can get on top of this. you know, a lot of the detailing in this ship is quite fantastic. It's one of the reasons why I bought it. Very reminiscent of a Formula 1 car, and you know, I guess it could be considered the space Formula 1 car since it handles so well. But yeah, my ships. So that's that.